Welcome back. This is chapter 4, The Enemy, written by Pearl Asbach. And today I'm going to explain page number 24th to page number 25th to you. So here we go. Okay, before we start, let me give you a brief idea of this chapter. The story has been set at the backdrop of the World War, in which both Japan and America were at the loggerheads and they fought a pitched battle. There, an American soldier was taken into custody. Somehow he escaped the custody, but not without getting badly hurt. He was shot at by the Japanese forces. Fortunately, he was carried away by the waves to the Japanese coast and precisely was dumped at the doorstep of Sadao Hoki, who was a doctor. He reached there and he found him to be an American soldier. Now he was in a dilemma. He was in a conflict. He was found between the conflict of ideas whether to save him as a doctor or to hand him over as a nationalist. So this story is this conflict of ideas. So let's begin. Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was built on a spot of the Japanese coast where, as a little boy, he had often played. So Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was built on the Japanese coast where he grew as a little boy and often played on the beach. The low square stone house was set upon rocks well above a narrow beach that was outlined with bent pines. So here his house was built on a small hill which was high above the narrow beach. That is, there was beach, and well above that beach, that is above that beach, there was his house on a small hill. This beach was outlined with bent pines, that is, pine trees, bent pine trees bordered this beach, or they outlined this beach, formed the boundary of this beach. As a boy, Sadao had climbed the pine, supporting himself on his bare feet. As a boy, since it was an open area, he would often play there on the beach, and so often he would climb these pine trees, supporting himself with his bare feet. He had seen people in the South Seas climb the coconut trees with bare feet, supporting themselves with their bare feet and climbing swiftly, very skillfully, without dislodging themselves, without getting disbalanced, climbing very swiftly and skillfully. And so he learned to climb the pine trees, supporting himself on his bare feet. His father had taken him often to the islands of those seas, and never had he failed to say to the little brave boy at his side, his father had often taken him. His father often took him to these islands at the South Seas. And there he would often tell his son beside him that those islands yonder, they are the stepping stones to the future of Japan, future for Japan. and he would never miss this opportunity to tell his son that these islands, you take him to the islands and tell him that these islands are the stepping stones, are the means for the development of Japan. These are going to be the important aspect for the development, for the progress of Japan. Where shall we step from them? Sadao had asked seriously, and Sadao, as a very serious child, would ask his father, where shall we reach from here? Who knows? His father had answered. Who can limit our future? It depends on what we make it. And his father would say, who knows where shall we reach from here? Who can limit our future? No one can limit our future, and our future is going to be shaped the way we want to shape it. And no one can obstruct it, no one can stop us from progressing. Sadao had taken this into his mind as he did everything his father said, and he had committed these words into his mind very firmly, because he always gave due importance to whatever his father had told him. His father, who never joked or played with him, but who spent infinite pains upon him, who was his only son. His father was a serious kind of person. He would never play with his son. He would never joke with him. He was very serious, and his only concern was his son, his studies. He spent infinite pain upon himself. That is, he took a lot of pain to give a proper upbringing, proper education to him. Since he was the only son, Sadao knew that his education was his father's chief concern, and Sadao knew it very well that for his father, his education was everything. For him, his son's education was the prime focus, was the chief concern. For this reason, he had been sent at 22 to America to learn all that could be learned of surgery and medicine, and for this only at the age of 22 he was sent to America to learn medicine and surgery. He had come back at 30, and before his father died, he had seen Sadao become famous not only as a surgeon but as a scientist. So he returned at the age of 30, that is, he spent 8 years there in America learning surgery and medicine. And when he returned, he became very famous there as a surgeon, as a scientist. And before his father died, before his father breathed his last, he had already achieved a great height. He had already become very famous. His father had seen him becoming a famous surgeon and a scientist, because he was perfecting a discovery which would render wounds entirely clean. He had not been sent abroad with the troops, since he was discovering, he was perfecting a discovery by which wounds could be rendered completely clean with certain medication. And so, because his discovery was important, because he was a a very famous surgeon there in Japan, so he was not sent away to the battlefields with the troops for their treatment. Also, he knew there was some slight danger that the old general might need an operation for a condition for which he was now being treated medically, and for this possibility Sadao was being kept in Japan, and he knew that the old general, who was currently undergoing some medication, might need an emergency operation for the condition that he was suffering from, and for that possibility only he was not sent abroad and he was kept there in Japan only. So this is all for now. Thank you.